August the 28th, continues. Day 5 of Blossom Goodchild's channeled book, The Bridge. As your time passed forward, great changes took place rapidly. Groups began to form, which was also new. At the beginning, due to only knowing of oneness, there was a united front. They knew so little of separation. The groups were known as clans. It was often that they produced a leader to be the guiding light. Again, this brought into play new emotions, new conditions. As much as the individual enjoyed its freedom, it brought with it unexpected controversies. The clans spread further afield from their original grouping that they had been placed in. Do not misunderstand. All was more or less blissful at this stage. A world that cannot at this time be imagined by the souls of your world today. Let me digress for a while. What would you consider to be the ultimate conditions for your planet? How would you begin to describe the planet that you would like to reside upon? One would speak of peace and harmony of all things that are of love. But do you not see? All things are of love. All things originated from love. For that is all there is. You may say that anger is not love, but I say to you it is, for there is nothing but love. There are different interpretations of love. How would you know what another's interpretation is? Your individual self has developed in such separateness that one can no longer find the same truths. And yet there is only one truth. There has only ever been one truth. It is the truth of love that can never be changed, or that can never change. It can be interpreted in many forms, but it is still the one truth. Love. Love is love, is love, is love. You may argue that you do not always feel love, but it is love that you feel, just a different interpretation of it. Through time and separation, love has been broken down into many levels, if you like. You could talk of different degrees of love. I say again, everything you see, hear, do, respond to, think, absolutely everything is love. For there's nothing else. That is what the souls of your earth must start to understand. As contradictory as it may seem at this stage, I say to you that war is love. It has to be a contorted form of it because there is nothing else. There is no other way of putting it except to keep reiterating that there is only love. At the beginning, love arrived on this planet in its purest form. This was apparent through nature and indeed through the souls that had been planted here, along with everything else. There was nothing to stop all these seeds in every form developing into their fullness of love, except themselves. And it is nothing but the self that has transformed love into the different degrees that you experience in your world today. Take a mountain. Think of it. Imagine it as the sun beams down upon it. It may have crystal iced snow on its peaks. It may have an array of flowers. But really imagine it standing tall amidst the blue sky. This mountain, this form of love, has allowed itself to grow into its fullness. Not being of a human variety, it does not have to deal with free choice and decisions. It simply is. Growing, growing, growing. It does not have the separateness of the individual mind to get in its way. It is what it is, nothing else. Now take a look at that last sentence. It is what it is, and nothing else. You are what you are, nothing else. And what you are, and what are you? You are love, nothing else. You can allow that love that is you to grow back to its original form. This is our aim. Your race has distorted and contorted its truths to such a degree that it is time for the game masters to intervene. This decision was not taken lightly. Never before has such a degree of concern been discussed for many eons of time. Because of the rules put into play at the beginning, it was a great split between masters as to whether one should intervene or not. The council had to grow larger. It was essential to bring new energies on board to add fresh light to this ongoing disaster. Some of you who read these words will naturally feel unease or feel insulted when you keep reading the word disaster. But from the point of view of the game masters, this indeed is what the innocent experiment has become. Look around your world as a whole. Surely you could not say it is a success. The intention of this book is to lead you into the new world, to help you regain that of what you already know, to assist you in becoming the truth that you are. It is the bridge that I have been asked, or it is the bridge that I have asked you to build. What is this new world? What will it be like? This is why I come to you, to bridge the gap, to give you the information required that is necessary for your world to take that leap. Your race is desperate to retrieve itself. For too long it has been sinking into the mire. I am the reins that can guide you in the right direction. Some in your world will not consider the possibility that I am to offer. It will be too far from where they are. They will question and ridicule. They will feel that the realms that I am to lead you to will not be in their grasp. They are not of your concern. It is not your responsibility to account for the entire human race. I am here to give you the choice. It is offered to all. Many millions of your race are ready to walk across the bridge. They are already waiting. The bridge is not yet built, but its foundations are in place. Yesterday, I spoke to you of the rules and how things must now change. I wonder how many of your world will accept that you are part of a game. That's all it is. Games are meant to be played, to be acted out. Let me read the instructions to you that were put into place at the beginning of the experiment. 1. All souls who reside upon planet Earth are to be given freedom of choice. 2. At no time can this freedom of choice be taken away from the individual. 3. What transpires cannot be tampered with. And 4. What evolves is. Let's look at this. How simple could the rules be? I know you were waiting for a list that stretches on and on. You were expecting rule after rule. This was not the case. The experiment that you are was as basic as that. Knowing that from what one had been given was enough to set the ball into play. You may feel awkward to acknowledge that you are just part of a game. It seems to take away your worth. If you are just a game, what difference does it make? What you do, how you behave, and how far you travel. What is the point of it all? I hear your mind say. There is no point, but there is a purpose. They are not the same. The purpose is to retrieve you now that you have moved so far away from your truth. The purpose of the game was to see how one could experience love in its fullness. You hate to hear that you are an experiment that has gone horribly wrong. You were asking me about all the good things that have been created. And what about all that? Oh yes, there is much of that. Yet you fail to understand how behind you are. This planet has not progressed. It has fallen by the wayside. You find it hard to hear these words, and yet as this bridge is built, you will understand. You have had cities in your world that were of pure light. You are questioning of what I spoke of before when humans developed the avarice and greed and insecurity and fear. How could there be cities of light if there was already fear? You need to understand of your time factor. You have been told that there is no time. You know this, but you cannot understand, for you choose to live in a world that is conducted by time. In the beginning, there was no time. It was created by you. There was simply the moment of now. Then the next moment, which was still the same as the last because it was now. It was a movement of expression. You had not yet developed your rat race, racing against the clock that you have created. If I may say, one of the greatest disasters of your creation was to invent years, months, days, hours, minutes, and seconds. It took much of the freedom that one had come in with. It became a limitation upon the self. What you now know of as time was once simply a space that was filled by that moment, nothing else, and the next moment, and the next. Is it not time? Then I hear you ask. No, it is being. It is experiencing the living moment, taking into account that all that you know of now evolved from where you began. In the beginning, there were no calendars or diaries to consult. There was no thought of booking in for the following week. One simply moved through from moment to moment, as I've said. As the mind expanded and role play took over, humans thought it would be a useful tool to recognize the rising and setting of the sun, to apply a system that worked around the sun. You changed that into working around the clock. You devised the splitting up of the space that lay in between the rising and the setting of the sun. You chopped it into minute segments. You caused this havoc that everyone now abides by. Let me confirm that I am not speaking of you, Blossom, but you as a race. And that's the end of the day 5 reading. I'll be back tomorrow. If you want information on Blossom's work, again, her books and her channelings are available on her YouTube site. Not her YouTube site, her books and channelings are available on our website, www.blossomgoodchild.com. And her channelings with the Federation of Light and White Cloud are also on YouTube. Take care.